Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's part two of our webinar series. I am so excited to be here today with each and every one of you as we talk about a topic that I think a few of you may have heard of, AI. It's a little bit of everywhere. You can't hide from it, no matter how hard you try, no matter where you go. AI is kind of everywhere and a part of everything that we're doing right now. But today's session is called Creation in the AI Era. And today we're going to talk about what it means to be a creator in the world where AI can generate images, video, music, essays, deepfakes, and just about anything that you can imagine. And in this moment in education, it's an opportunity. Students are growing up in a world where ideas can travel so fast and these tools are so powerful. And these lines between like human imagination and machine assistance, it keeps shifting. Literally today, I saw a story that OpenAI and Disney has now joined forces. Now you're going to be able to use Disney characters and creating SOAR videos. So a lot's happening, and creativity and all these changes are happening so rapidly right now. And so today we're not just going to talk about these topics. We're going to be learning directly from the people who live this each and every day and the people who are going to have to deal with the challenges of AI right now. We have some amazing students that are going to be joining us today in this webinar series. And we're going to have some really great conversations about AI. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our students to the stage right now. And well, before I bring my students to the stage, I'm going to bring a good friend of mine and a co-host of this webinar series, Joseph South. He's a Chief Innovation Officer for ISTE AFCD. How's it going today, Joseph?
It's going well. Good to see you, Adam.
Yeah, and did you see the story about the
I
OpenAI
did.
Disney thing?
Yeah, and after all the studios fighting against AI, to have Disney go kind of all in on it was a big turnabout.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all
Yeah.
this creation and AI stuff happens now. I honestly don't have any idea what's happening next.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of Disney Soras. That's what's happening next.
But the people who are tuning in aren't just here to hear from you and I. We have some amazing students that we had a kind of chance to chat with. Coming to the stage, I'm gonna go ahead and bring our students. We have Nehemiah and we have Amia joining us today. So thank you for taking up some of your time. I know as students, y'all are extremely busy doing a whole lot of things. So thank you for joining us today. And if you could, we'll start with Nehemiah. Just kind of tell us like a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, so the viewers out there get a chance to know about you.
All right. Well, my name is Nehemiah Daniels. I'm a junior attending Arabian Mountain High School, Lithonia, Georgia area. I like running track. I like reading. I like writing. One thing about myself is that I can tend to be in my head a lot. That's one thing. But yeah, that's me.
So I'm Amia. I'm also a junior, but I'm from New Jersey. I go to Ridge High School. And I've been working a lot with educators when talking about AI in the classroom because I had this amazing experience a few years ago where I had this teacher who completely changed my perspective on everything with how to bring these tools into the classroom. So ever since then, I've been really passionate about talking about this, and I'm really excited to be part of this conversation today.
Once again, thanks for joining us. And, we're just going to really just kind of hop right into it. And one thing I want to talk about is this creativity and original thought in the day and age and world of AI that we're in right now. And so the question that I'm going to throw out to you, like, what does it mean to be a creator in the digital age? I know as an individual, content creator, you see these things all the time. We've evolved so much. Like at one point, the biggest thing that was out there was going to be Twitter. Twitter was the thing. Everybody's posting and sharing information on Twitter. And then Instagram became this thing and everyone was sharing content on Instagram. And now we've kind of like evolved into this new space where content can be created by any and everybody and be shared on these platforms. Oh, and I'm so excited. We have our third student panelist here. Let me go ahead and bring her up and see she's been able to join our chat room.
Hello. Sorry, I must have gotten the whole Eastern time thing mixed up. My apologies for the late entry.
Oh, no problem. If you could just go ahead and take a moment, just tell us a little bit about yourself so all the viewers can know who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Rediet. I'm a sophomore at LaDue Watkins High School, and I am currently, I'm enrolled in LaDue Watkins, and think that AI is quite an interesting topic that has been prevalent in our society right now, especially within the education and how it's impacted with the new cell phone bill and all those things. So appreciate your patience.
Oh, no problem, no problem. And so, oddly, everybody's a junior here, right? You have like 3 juniors right now. So yeah, awesome. Sophomore, sophomore, juniors. All right, cool. So with that being said, so talking about like this creation thing, so what do you think it means to be a creator in a digital age where anybody can create content, but now we have AI assisting it? So what do you think it means to be a creator? Amia, you mind starting us off?
Yeah, sure. What I think is that being a creator is taking all the different tools that are available to you, and whether that's AI, whether that's like digital tools, or even just traditional tools, putting that all together to express your ideas in a way that's very personal and that uses your own experiences. So I don't think it's just about making something that's like new, but it's about making something that shows your perspective and your voice and actually tells a story, because that's what true creation is.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, Nehemiah?
I like to agree what you said. I would say too that it also means to be able to create engaging ways for people to interact on the platform. So you know how you have people on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. To be a creator is to find ways to bring people together, regardless of their experiences, culture, backgrounds. You know how they view the world, or anything that might typically push people apart.
Now with that, and I kind of want to go a little deeper around that. Like, so when you hear about like creation and AI, are there any like creators out there that y'all follow that use AI that you know of that you can say, oh, I follow this creator and I know they use a lot of AI, or do you really want to, in your opinion, like follow creators that you feel as though there's stuff they created themselves without any AI assistance?
I know for me personally, I can't think of anybody off my head that might just directly use AI in an obvious way, but I don't have a personal problem with it. It's just when the person becomes heavily reliant on it, like everything they use is AI, the script, the story, all the art is nothing original to it. But if they use it in some elements, like their title might have a little AI in it, it's okay to me, because it is a tool at the end of the day. So if it helps you, then it's no problem.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, I don't think it's about whether they use AI or not. It's about the way they use it and the extent to which they use it at. So as long as their story is still coming through and you can tell that it's their true personal story and they're passionate about it, they care about it, AI is just a tool that they're using to help them propel and share that story with everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially now, like, as like the emergence, AI has been around for a while, but as it starts to emerge more like in our education systems and like the digital age, I think we're kind of all figuring out how to use it in the best way possible. And so I feel like if we can all just have like a little bit of like, I guess, a little bit of grace for kind of trying to figure out how to use it in ways that are more ethical and how to use it in ways that are more reliable versus just kind of like how you mentioned, like making your entire script or making all of your work completely 100% AI. That's not necessarily using it as a tool, rather than kind of like almost like a crutch. But I think that if we use it in a responsible way, then to an extent, I think that it could be used. Yeah.
So Adam, do you mind if I jump in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it strikes me there's like this, we already have this concept of remixing, right? And when somebody's remixing, we don't really think of them as like stealing. We think of them as like giving homage to something or bringing something in a new way. But then like there's a line that you cross, right? Where you're not just remixing, but you're doing that instead of your originality. And it seems like maybe there's a line here like that too. I don't know. I'm just reflecting on some of your comments and wondering about that.
I don't think
It's so interesting you bring that up, because when I think about, like, you know, being a creator, the whole, in my mind, when I think about creating, it's something new. Um, and so I'm so torn when I think about where we are now with AI, because, you know, is it anything new you're creating, or, to your point, Joseph, is it a remix of different things? But if you remix a lot of things, it is a new product, right?
What do y'all think?
I think
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, no, I just want to respond to what Mr. South was saying about the line. I don't necessarily think that it's a line. I think it's more of like a gray area, because I feel like it depends specifically on what you're using it for. Like, it could be even just like in the classroom, if it's being used for an essay versus if it's being used to prepare for like a public speaking assignment or a presentation. It's just completely different assignments, and the line, it's not a line, it's a gray area, and it depends on who you are as a student, who your teacher is, how the assignment is functioning, what the role of the purpose of the assignment is, because there's so many different factors that go into it. And that's why a lot of times I tell educators that you, like, AI guidelines can't just be like a one size fits all thing. It has to be specific to different assignments, because every assignment is different. So there's just never that line that you can jump over and cross and say, this is too much AI, this is okay to do. Like, it's an area, and it depends on the assignment.
Yeah, no, I also think it can.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I also think it can be hard, like, kind of like you mentioned, when, like, it depends on the student you are, like, applying it. Like, I think personally, I think I've experienced AI more in an educational setting, and so as someone who is still learning about this new tool that can be utilized in so many different ways, I feel like it really does, like, you're right. I think it really does depend on like, if you're somebody who hasn't really been used to using AI or a tool like this that's so powerful that can create so many different things, when you're kind of used to just writing things manually on your own, or maybe like doing it more on your own, you're kind of stuck between a spot of, well, do I adapt and do I kind of be flexible and utilize my resources, or do I stick with like my old way that's been, you know, working with me for a while, allowing me to still share my creations with different people? And so I think it definitely can be hard.
Go ahead, Nehemiah.
But I agree with both of y'all. I think the main thing would be just knowing how to use AI as like a walking stick when you need to. Like how we've been saying, like a tool. Like, it can't totally replace creativity or what you think or your ideas. So knowing how to use it to help and guide you, I think that's the most important skill of all.
So let me ask this as we go to this next question here. Like, have each of you used AI to help you generate any ideas? Like, you know, it may have been a project or planning an event or anything. Have you personally used it, or do you know anyone who's like used it to help them like kind of create or generate ideas? Because that's one of the ways we see people, adults, and they're using AI to help them generate an idea. Like, hey, what's some great party ideas as we get ready for the holidays? You know, what's a good Halloween costume or whatever? You know, this kind of fun things, not necessarily academically, but, you know, just in general. Like, have you used AI to help you generate or create ideas?
I know for certain when I first started using AI around 9th grade, that I kind of became heavily dependent on it. So like I said when I introduced myself, I like writing. And so I used to write a lot in 9th grade, to write stories, little small stuff. And I would always go to AI and give it ideas instead of giving it my ideas and asking, like, what can I improve on? Like, what do you think about this? And I had stopped doing that because I realized that, first of all, every once in a while, it'll give me the same thing. And then number two, it seemed kind of shallow. Like, it wasn't any depth to it.
That is a good point there.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think AI can be definitely a good tool for synthesizing information. Like if you're trying to tackle a really big topic and you're like trying to generate like ideas like through AI, I think it kind of helps it kind of adds a bit more practicality and helps synthesize large things that like lots of different things or websites that you would find like on a Google search, and you having to manually going through all of those, versus like it can help allow you to kind of like overcome the first initial stage of like trying to generating ideas and like synthesizing information. So I think there are definitely some aspects of it that can be helpful.
I think AI is more successful when it's used as like a refining tool to refine your ideas, because I've seen a lot with my own experiences and my friends and family. I think when you use AI to generate ideas, a lot of times it doesn't match what you're expecting with your personality and your voice that goes into it, and like all the experiences that you have, because even if you're coming up with something as simple as like party ideas, the people that are at your party, your like vibe, your party vibe, like that all comes from your experiences and everything that you've gone through. So while it can give you a broad set of ideas, you need to put in all the information about yourself and about whatever it is the topic is in order to come up with better ideas. And you just have to keep refining it and refining it. And that's the process that makes you think deeper too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joseph, I'm gonna put you on the spot, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
With the work that you've been doing with AI, I mean, you are the AI person at it's the ASCD, if you will. I'm sure you've sat on so many committees and groups and things of that nature. So, what have you seen as the general conversations in those rooms around helping people understand like original thought and using AI to generate ideas, and how to kind of structure or prepare educators to support that in education?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because our students here, I think, are really illuminating the same things that are talked about in those circles. There's a big question about whether, what is original student work, right? And some people have gone back to the blue books, right? Where you have to write everything out by hand and get a big hand cramp and try to remember how to write instead of type. Because they're like, we don't want any influence, no machine influence on this, and that's like sort of one end of the extreme. But I think what Amia said, and another, pretty much everybody made this point, that there's a refining aspect that it's really good at. And I talked to one teacher. I was actually visiting Tokyo, and spoke with the teacher there, and he used AI in his makerspace, and I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense, because it's all about creation. And he said, well, most students come up with like 2 or 3 ideas and they get stuck. But if they'll put the idea into an AI engine, it'll come up with like 10 ideas or 20 ideas, and they're really bad, but it gets the students thinking, and then they come up with 20 more good ideas. And so I think there's this anxiety that using AI becomes a dependency, or that the work isn't original. But then in practicality, we're seeing a lot of ways that it actually expands creativity rather than contracts it.
That is some really, I mean, it's interesting, because what I've seen at times that there's been some separation from conversations that adults have had and students have had. I know when we've done some of our Future Ready events, and we have our adult panel, and then we have normally in our afternoon, we have our student panel. And our students sometimes will bring things to the table that the adults are thinking that, students are using AI all the time. They're doing this and doing that. And then the students have come in, they're like, no, we really want you to tell us, when and where to use it and how to structure it. Give us the guardrails, because we want to know more about when we can use it and when do you think it's okay for us to use it. So sometimes there's this disconnect between what the conversations that adults are having in rooms and where students are in their use of the tools.
Yeah, so maybe a question I have is, when you all think about AI, when is it appropriate to use AI in a school project, right? A lot of adults are worried about the cheating apocalypse, right? That AI is bringing on, and everyone's just going to use it and they're just going to cheat. And I'm just wondering, like, and even if you're not cheating, some people are just worried about what they call cognitive laziness, right? Where it's not cheating, but you're like having AI doing more than your brain should be doing to learn. And so when you think about using AI in school projects, what's appropriate, would you say?
I would say to help expand on information that you might already know, like the conversation you were having about using AI to help with schoolwork. I think that at a certain level, you should have a base of understanding so you can go from there. Like sometimes you AI from zero understanding, it doesn't really get you anywhere. But so I think like if you have like a certain question, but you already have other information, that it's okay to use it.
That makes sense. What do
Yeah.
y'all?
Sorry.
No, go for it.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think, like I was saying before, it depends. It varies from assignment to assignment. But I think that the most important thing is to teach students that in the classroom, the way it should be used depends on the assignment. But at the end of the day, the way it should be used is as a tool to make them think even harder. So as going back to the idea of refining, using it as a tool to refine your ideas actually helps you think deeper, because it makes you realize, oh, I don't like this one, but I like this response. So let me take what I like from this and this and put it together. And then it asks questions, and that actually creates more thinking for us as students. And so it's a teacher's responsibility to show students that they can grow so much by using AI in the right way, but that they shouldn't use it in the wrong way, which can hurt them.
No, I totally agree. I think it's also like sometimes it can be it can be hard to, even like as you were asking that question, Mr. South, I was like, wow, I really don't know. I feel like it can be, it definitely does depend, like assignment to assignment, like you mentioned. But I think it can be hard because you, at the end of the day, like you said, you want students to be thinking harder. You want, like I want to be able to do the project on my own. You know what I mean? I want to be able to execute these tasks and be able to have this skill set without having to utilize AI. But also I feel like, again, in our growing digital age where and now even I'm seeing as like a student who doesn't really use AI, I'm seeing it, the prevalence is, increased much more. I think it might get to a point where we kind of have to start adapting to this tool. Even like for students who may not feel as comfortable using AI, might have to start, or not have to, but it could possibly benefit them to start kind of utilizing in small ways, whether it be, like Amaya said, like refining or editing it like towards the end of your, like, or the latter stages of your project. But I think it definitely can kind of cause like some conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm. So I'm so curious, do you feel more pressure to use AI or to not use AI? And where does that come from?
I think I feel more pressure to not use AI just because it's almost all around me, like 24/7. If you go to school, you'll see, even if it's not even an assignment, students will simply like use ChatGPT to do a quick search. And it's totally fine because it's something that they're using a tool. However, it's like, especially when you're trying to maintain your authenticity, when you're trying to hold on to these skills that you've been using for so long, and all of a sudden AI pops out of nowhere, or not out of nowhere, but it's become so much more popular. You're like, well, I still want to be able to do things for myself, but I feel like sometimes I'm asked to use it in certain assignments at school. Sometimes I'm asked to use it in certain projects. And it's not a bad thing. It's a tool that can be utilized. And I think I'm even learning that myself, but it's definitely sometimes can feel like not a challenge. Sometimes it can just feel like well, I still want to be able to do things on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree too. I like to say, you know how the student schedule is, especially right now. We having testing coming up for finals, everything. And I know for myself as a student athlete, having to stretch your time out, it becomes really easy to fall into just use an AI real quick to give you answers. And you hear a lot from teachers that don't really understand how AI can be used as a tool, that they kind of demonize it, like just using AI any type of way is bad, even though it could really help you. Like I said, with a schedule too, you can fall deep into just using it to get stuff done real quick, because you might have to do this one assignment, study for a test tomorrow. Like for me, I have practice, so I might have to get something done before practice. I think it's just all about balance and, making sure you still do your part and not just using AI as its crutch.
So let me ask you this real quick, and this is kind of on that topic, and I don't want to get any of you in trouble. So we're gonna talk about other teachers at other schools, not the wonderful institutions that you attend. Do you believe that in overall that educators sometimes where they have a fear of AI or this cheating, and so they don't necessarily know the best ways to have students use it, so that's why they're like, don't use it because it's cheating? Do you think it's that they don't really understand the potential of what it can do, so therefore they're thinking that it's just cheating? Not your teachers, other teachers at other schools, not the ones that you attend, the excellent teachers in your excellent districts, other districts.
I don't think you could kind of stereotype all the teachers into that one bucket of saying that everybody is fearful of AI or everybody's comfortable with using it. I think there's like a spectrum where there's some teachers that I've seen at other schools that are very, very open to adapting and using new tools and trying it out with their uh, classes and trying to incorporate it into assignments. And then there's other teachers that are very against it because they think that it takes away from the traditional learning. And so I think that the best way to approach that is to when you're talking to educators, have that know that there's like very different perspectives in a room full of educators, and use that to your advantage to show how some teachers already are starting to use it, but like show them how they could use it in a better way, in a different way, and show that it can still create more thinking. I think that's the biggest thing, to prove how AI can allow students to think more, because thinking is what teachers are afraid students are going to lose when they're using AI. They just have to be shown that students aren't going to lose it if they're taught in the right way.
So when you, if someone were to say, what are the ethical guidelines that you should follow when using AI? Like, what would you say? What are the, because you had Amia, you talked earlier about it being a gray area, right? So, but are there some ethical guidelines that you would outline and say, these are the guidelines that you should probably follow?
I don't see it as like guidelines. I feel like it is more dependent on the situation and the assignment, but I think that's where students like I think it was Mr. File talking about earlier, need those like those like rails where teachers tell them what to do specifically for assignments. So like I could give an example, like for example, in an essay, in the writing process of an essay, the teacher could give the student the guide rails to say, you can use AI in this particular brainstorming step, where after you, let's say, write a thesis, you can put it into AI and have it have a conversation to think about what are the different perspectives that you're missing with your thesis and the position you're taking in your argument, and think about, so kind of like that, where teachers pick specific steps in specific parts of assignments where students can use AI. And so students slowly learn to use it to help them grow.
Mm-hmm.
I think a basic guideline too that everybody should apply to is that just don't copy and paste exactly what AI gives you. I think that's the easiest one there.
That's a good guideline.
Good answer. Good answer.
I don't know that anything good ever happened from copying and pasting AI for anyone.
Yeah,
Never.
I literally got an email from somebody, and I could tell they used Chat GPT, because at the bottom of their email, it's literally had the thing where it says, "Would you like this in a PDF or a slide deck?" And it still had the prompt part at the bottom. It's like, okay, take a moment, delete that piece. So,
any other
so with that,
yeah, go for it.
So somebody asked a really good question that's kind of along the lines of that, and I in our chat, and I do want to like share it with the panel here. So, as students, what would be the ideal approach that teachers should use when guiding students? I know we kind of said a little bit about, if there's a writing assignment, use it to do this or do that. But as teachers are introducing AI, what approaches should they take? Do you think they should have? I've seen some people have a red light, yellow light, green light kind of model around AI usage, or I've seen some folks where they provide a prompting guide for like math assignments to show you, hey, this is how you use it. So in your opinions, what would be an ideal approach that teachers could use when guiding students to use AI? And thank you, Ms. Mason, for that question there.
I think prompting is one of the most important skills that teachers need to work with students on, because the way I see it is that AI is currently big in the real world outside of school, and it's not going to go away. So us as students, when we get older and we get into the workforce and go on to do more things in our lives, we're going to have to know how to use AI in a way that's going to benefit us and lead us to success. And school is supposed to prepare us for that. So I think that teachers should really focus on teaching us about prompt engineering, and that goes in every single subject, right? Like you said, with math, for example. And AI can be integrated into every single subject. And then also with the red, yellow, green light example, I think that it can be a good form of a guideline if used in the right way, but I don't think it can only be three. I don't think it's just no AI, yes AI, a little bit of AI. I think it should be more of a spectrum. There should be colors in between red and yellow. There should be colors in between yellow and green, because it's not just those three, yes, maybe no. It's there's a lot more to it. And so more of a spectrum, I think, would be a better form of a guideline.
And I would agree. We'll learn how to properly prompt when you use AI, because going back to what I said, having the foundation, what you're talking about, it's easy just to ask AI to give you an answer. But when you have an understanding, you could know what to say to it to give you more information. So, for example, I have this math teacher in my AP Stats class. She encourages AI, but she encourages it as a studying tool. So whenever we have topics that we don't understand, she'll tell us what to say to the AI to help us break it down and understand it.
I think, and this is just, I think, Amaya, what you said is really resonating with me earlier about how we want to make sure we're like learning to think for ourselves or maintain that like thinking, like that skill of being able to critically think. And I think that's something that, like if there were like, that's something that I would like teachers like to especially focus on, because, again, like I may not use AI like on a regular day or at all, but or not very often unless I'm like told to by my teachers. However, I feel like if we can just make sure if teachers can find a way, and I know it can be very hard, but in my opinion, I think what's very important is being able to make sure that students, even in this world of AI, still know how to research on their own, still know how to think critically on their own, think analytically on their own, because I think at the end of the day, like Amaya said earlier, those are really like the skills that are foundational, what you are getting when you go to school to get an education. Like you may be learning math, science, and English, but the underlying skills that are in a lot of those subjects are those critical thinking, analytical thinking skills that AI can't replicate right away, and that AI can't necessarily teach you, and you might not be able to sharpen the best if we use AI like for more often than I think like that we should, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I really like what you said. And I also want to add on to that, because I see a comment that I like that's talking about how students go to AI when teachers give them busy work. And I think that that's a really important thing, because right now I feel like as school is kind of changing from traditional school into a school that has to learn to incorporate AI, I think the way curriculums are created and the way school functions is going to have to shift a little bit, because now instead of focusing on things like busy work, I think it's all about focusing on building critical thinking skills. And I think that this can only make things better for students, for the school system, for education, because critical thinking is genuinely the most important skill that any student is going to need in whatever they decide to do in their lives later as they get older. And so I think school should focus on teaching critical thinking, and the addition of AI is only pushing us to shift things faster, to focus on critical thinking rather than a lot of busy work assignments.
You know, okay, so you brought up critical thinking, and Joseph, you can help me out on this one here. I think right now we're so polarized as a society with things, and critical thinking now is a skill more than ever we need to have when we seek things, because AI is really good now in creating deep fakes and content that looks official and real, whether it's a post by a politician or whether it's a video. So let me ask you this: when it goes to critical thinking, like when you see content now online, um, what's your process to like think about it, to like, oh, before you share it or tell somebody about it? Do you immediately think, oh, this is real? or what's your process of thinking through something before you like share it now? Because AI is able to make stuff that looks really real. I mean, at one point we had 6 fingers on every picture. Now we fixed that part. So, like, what's your process? What's your thought process as you go through and you see content?
I'd say for me, whenever I see stuff online, whenever it looks too perfect, like as humans, we make mistakes. Like nobody's perfect, no matter how much you practice or whatever you do. And so whenever you see stuff that's too perfect, that kind of lets me know it's AI. And I kind of take that with a grain of salt. Like I don't want to share a video that's teaching you how to do something or talking about a certain topic, and then it's AI. It's not like it's kind of messing you up now. But
Yeah.
you can usually tell though, like as good as it's getting, it still can't replicate the soul that people have.
I like the idea you used of taking it with a grain of salt, because I think that now whenever I look at something online, I always look at it with that perspective that it doesn't have to be true. It could be fake. And so that gives me that, like, I think that does have to do with critical thinking, because now I'm always looking out and I'm always not going to be fully confident and believe everything that I see. So it makes me a more well-rounded thinker and better with approaching almost anything that I hear or come across.
So, like, how does that, like, when I grew up, there was this sense that, oh, you could, trust it if you saw it on the nightly news, and we all watched the same 3 news channels, or it was in the newspaper, which is this piece of paper that used to come and this little
Back in the
kid would
1900s.
yeah, you throw it on your doorstep, and it had words on it. They didn't move. There was no scrolling. But how does it feel to be in a time when that's sort of lost? Like, do you feel do you feel like it's harder to know what's real and what isn't now, or do you still feel like, no, it's just a matter of keeping up, and as long as I keep up, I'll be able to tell what's real and what's not?
So I'm glad you said that last part, 'cause I didn't even think about that. But definitely keeping up and knowing different updates helps you know what's real and what's fake. But like I said earlier, though, like it's getting better, but it's still like little clues here and there that I'll tell you. So it's just being more intentional.
I think it can be sometimes hard to. Sorry, do you want to?
No, go ahead.
I think sometimes it can be hard to keep up, especially like for those who may not use social media all the time, who may like be on there once in a while and maybe check on how their family's doing or all like that stuff. But when they are on social media, when they do use those like different types of platforms, they don't necessarily think in their everyday minds to, oh, I have to keep up, or what's the new strategy I can use to see what's a deepfake and what's not a deepfake, or what's real and what's not real, or what's AI generated and what's not. And so I feel like sometimes it can be hard to try to keep up. And I think that's something that unfortunately we might have to like start. Like, even I think about it myself. I'm like I used to use the 6-figure thing too, or AI can't replicate nice hands, but now apparently it can. So I'm like, I have to find a new trick or something like that, where it's like, it's starting to it might get to a point where how are we going to differentiate between what was written by someone and what's written by ChatGPT?
I definitely agree that it's harder now, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think that now that if we are able to keep up, that gives us more perspectives and it allows us to think more and make more connections. Because I mean, there's a lot of times where it's not just like something's fake, something's real. There's like parts of everything that's real and parts of everything that's not real. And it's up to us to piece together all the different sources and everything that we're reading and kind of make our own storyline out of that and figure out what's true for us and what we want to believe. And I think that that part is a lot of thinking. And yes, it takes time and yes, it's difficult, but it makes us better thinkers and smarter individuals.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're almost saying that it supercharges your critical thinking skills to have to like sort through that.
Exactly.
So with that supercharging, what do y'all think we can do as educators to support students develop those spidey senses? Their spidey senses to be tingling when they see something. It's like, okay, ooh, this seems a little too good, or this or that, or let me go to this side, or let me, what things should we be doing to prepare students for this world that's rapidly changing and this critical thinking has to be supercharged?
I think that all starts with motivation. Like, you have to get students excited about whatever it is that you're talking about to get them to be like, oh, what about this? What about that? Like, to get that sense, they need to start with being excited and passionate about what they're talking about. Because I know there's so many times that I've been sitting in class, and if I'm not engaged, then I'm not going to ask more questions. And questions and being curious is where that all stems from. So I think the first thing that teachers need to do is work on building motivation. And I think motivation comes from passion, and that comes from knowing each student and what each student is passionate about and helping them grow those passions.
Anyone else want to add on that? Now, this is one that this is a question I did not give y'all ahead of time. Sorry. I just kind of thought about this as we've been having this conversation. And this is a little different than the educational conversation we've been having. There also is this other conversation about AI and the environmental factors, what is this going to cost as far as energy consumption and the data farms and all these things that are happening. Is that something that that y'all have thought about, an issue like the problems, these unintended consequences or problems of this data AI age? Is that a conversation that the students and kids are talking about? We're just curious.
I've definitely heard. I've heard from some like a teacher, or how about like the environmental impacts of AI and how like one prompt or like a couple of prompts on ChatGPT like uses gallons of water. I don't know what the exact statistic was, but it was something that probably the first time I heard it, it's not necessarily something you would think about. It's like, oh, how is something that I'm using on my phone or I'm using on my computer to ask questions, how is it having such a detrimental environmental impact? And I think that it's something that we might not automatically consider, but it's definitely something that I have been hearing about.
It's definitely a question that I've talked about to people, and that it's in a lot of discussion. But I think that what happens now is that we work to make AI more computationally efficient. So right now, yes, it is causing a lot of problems for the environment, but as time goes on, the goal is to make every prompt that someone asks, and every piece of information take up less and less space, and allow it to become more efficient, and that will help the effects on the environment.
And I know it's a problem too, but I feel like sometimes people that are against AI kind of inflate how big the issue is. Like, obviously you don't want all the water going to waste, but there are other things I feel like that have more major impacts than just AI using gallons of water, because that water turns into wastewater, and you can clean that water, and after a certain period of time, of course, you don't want to use it. But I don't think it's as detrimental as it's always appeared to be.
Are there other negative impacts to AI that concern you?
Well, I wanted to bring this up earlier, but how fast AI is progressing with how it looks, and eventually you have kids growing up with AI, they don't know how to tell the difference between what's real and what's fake. I remember this one time I was looking at, he was on like YouTube Shorts, and he was looking at reels, and it was a video that was obviously fake, but I'm watching him engage and just consume obviously fake video to me, but he's taking it in thinking it's real. So it's kind of scary thinking about a point in time where you really don't have those details and clues to kind of tell you, this is real, this is fake, and you feel like you don't know what you can trust.
Yeah, that's why school's so important. That's why we need to learn how to do that, but school has to be in the right way. Going back to your question, I think for me, one of the things I'm most worried about is mental health, especially with children, because I've read so many different instances of younger children using AI kind of like a friend, like replacing a friend, and talking to AI like it's a therapist, and developing mental disorders and mental problems from that. So I think that's also where school comes in, because students need to be talking about education, and how AI should not be treated like another human, and that AI is a tool, and that needs to be drilled into kids' heads from when they're younger, so that this decreases the problem of mental disorders.
So one more I want to ask y'all that once again, sorry, as y'all are talking, I'm just thinking about these things. Earlier we talked about the Disney relationship now with OpenAI or ChatGPT to start creating videos using Disney characters and all these things. So I've seen these videos that came out where people made videos with like Martin Luther King or with and different things. That's Nehemiah. I see you laughing. I think you may have seen some of the ones I'm talking about. So, so like, what kind of regulations do you think we should be having conversations about where it goes to those things where people can start making this video or content with individuals, whether they're because somebody can make a video of you. And I know that was a thing a few years ago where people making like videos or pictures of kids and things and having issues with that. So what are your thoughts about any kind of regulations or conversations we need to be having to kind of control this so somebody's not making a video of Joseph South out there or Mia or Adam Pyle or like what do you think we need to be having some conversations about or regulations to kind of control this?
Yeah, and just to make it real, one of my direct reports just made me into a copied in a banana with AI. And she thought it was hilarious. There's nothing I could do about it. I mean, I thought it was hilarious too, but it was also a little weird, right? Because she just took a picture of me that she had and ran it through AI, and suddenly I'm a kind of, I want to say the cop had a little more weight around the waist than I do, but I copied in a banana, and I'm like, she just did it like that, and I mean, of course she was just having fun, and I didn't feel offended or harmed, but it was also just a little weird because like it really did look like me, so. Yeah.
I believe as AI starts to improve, I think there should be laws around it. Like if businesses want to use AI, I think there should be a rule that, if you're going to generate videos of somebody, it has to be a watermark on it, so you can tell that it's fake. Or if you want to license AI, certain things that you have to do to kind of indicate that it's not real or let somebody know that what they're looking at is AI.
Yeah, I agree. I think AI is just another tool. Like Google was a tool when it first came out. And so as technology improves, there's more and more tools. And yes, there does have to be regulations. There's problems like cyberbullying, and then there's laws and things to come in and create consequences when bad things happen with it. So we can't prevent or restrict the use of AI because we're fearful of that. We have to do what we can to proactively stop the consequences of that from happening, just like he just mentioned.
And I think also, and I've heard like other of my peers mention this, and so I think it's a good point about how educating, like I feel like education again is the key tool that we can utilize. And if we can educate people on like the effects of their actions of when they make a deep fake or how detrimental it actually can be to somebody, or when you're creating something, how like, you can make an animation now, or you can make like a YouTube video. It looks like a cartoon, but it's AI generated. And before people would have to, either draw that by hand or they have to make it like using computer software. But now you can make it in, I'm assuming, minutes, if not seconds. And so I feel like if we're educated on the effects of AI, not only environmentally, not only how it impacts people individually, of like using someone's identity or making a video of them without their consent in AI, I think that even just educating people or educating folks on the effects of that could possibly even cause a change of behavior.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say those are some of the best answers I've gotten from anybody, adults or students. Those are fantastic answers.
Thank you.
I definitely think we need to have some more work done around just creating some more guardrails around this and really supporting our educators. And you brought up some really great points about, early in education, starting to assure students at an early age. Because Nehemiah, you said that, and I think about my own kids. And my son at 8, he'll watch videos and he'll show me something. And to my vantage point, it's obviously fake. But in his mind, he's like, Dad, you see this? And I'm like, oh, son, that's not real. He's like, but it's right here on YouTube. It's like, yeah, but it's that whole conversation. So, and I know he's not necessarily getting that training in school, around that, because to Joseph's point, it was a point where you can say, "Oh, did you find it on 3 different websites?" So it must be true that I got it from 3 different websites. But now all those sites could be fake, and it could look accurate, and all those things. So great points from everybody here today. So what I would like to do for our panelists, something I always love doing is giving everybody like a walk-off shot. So you've had a really great conversation, but this is something that the message that you want to make sure all of our viewers are getting right now or later as they go back and watch it, something that they need to understand about creation and AI, and an important role that they play in helping students become better users around AI. So what is something that you think every educator, every adult, every student who may watch this video later needs to understand about AI? No pressure.
I think that I want everyone who is watching this to know that as an educator, the most important part of education is every student. And so as a student, what I want is for educators to let me take control of my own learning and use tools like AI to help me do that. Because I've had so many different experiences in school, and they're very different. Some experiences are very exciting for me because they feed into my passions and they let me explore and learn using what I really care about. And then there's other experiences where I'm not engaged at all. And so I think seeing how much of an impact the experiences where I'm feeding my passions are being fed has on me makes me feel like every teacher needs to do that for their students. And that doesn't even have to involve AI or involve technology, but I just think that using AI and technology as a tool for this is going to be so helpful, because it allows students to then take things into their own hands, because that's what they're going to do when they get older. And so that's my main message. Let students take things into their own hands and be the guide for them to do that, and show them how to use AI in a responsible way, how to grow their learning, how to grow their thinking, but let them take control.
You want to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think for me, my main message is someone who personally enjoys the traditional education approach, and being able to kind of, and I'm sorry, Emil, this might sound like I'm contradicting you, but I think for me is that I want to make sure that educators still allow students to, kind of like we talked about like in today's discussion, we still allow students to have that skill set, being able to research on your own without having to use AI all the time, being able to write on your own, being able to have that analytical and those critical thinking skills that we talked about earlier that are so important. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose that in schools. I like the traditional learning approach. I like the being able to, I don't like, again, my main point, I feel like that we should make sure to, like, all teachers should make sure that however they choose to utilize AI in their schools or in their classrooms, that students are still able to be equipped with those original skill sets, with those almost like traditional skill sets that students have had for so long, that have allowed them to flourish in classrooms, and that might continue and help them, allow them even as they adapt to AI.
And I want to say my final thing as a combination of what both of y'all were saying. I want to say that I want teachers to understand that AI isn't a bad thing. And of course, you still want the human originality to be there, but to realize that AI is more like a stepping stool to help students reach higher levels, essentially.
Boom. Love it. Love it. And Joseph, do you mind sharing like something resources that ISD has out there that some of our educators who are viewing may be able to check out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have some great resources if you're an educator and you're trying to find your way through this world. We have a set of free activity guides that are in every subject matter area, every age level, including, we even have an AI guide that you can use to do something in PE to help young people learn about this area. We have something called generationai.org, which is an amazing work that we're doing to try and help every teacher learn to use AI in transformative ways. If you go there, there's all kinds of free resources, including scholarships to online courses you can take, and we even have communities of practice you can join. And then if you just become a member, and the first level is free. We have something called Connect, where you can talk to other teachers about how they're using AI. So we're really trying to do what we can to help out.
Yep. And if you aren't already a member of SCASCD, definitely check it out. Really great things that they're doing over there. Here at Future Radio, we have some really great resources. We have if you go to futureradio.org, we have our AI by Design guide. Got a chance to work with that with our Future Radio advisors. Also want to give a shout out to our friends at AT&T with the Achievery. Like our futureradio.link/Achievery. I know SCACD educators have worked with some of them around their resources. They have some really great content around teaching AI. So once you create your free account, just type in AI and you'll see some really great resources there. But I do want to thank our amazing students. I'm like, every time I talk with y'all, I learn so much. Everyone, Nehemiah, this first time I got a chance to meet you, I'm so glad that the educators and the wonderful educators in DeKalb County connected me with you.
Yes, sir.
And I thank you for being here. Y'all are so amazing. I think everybody that's in our chat has said this. Amazing. Our future is bright and shining with these amazing students that we have today. So to our educators, I want to say thank you for helping our students build the skills that they need to navigate this ever-changing world. And to our students, thank you for showing us what it means to be a student in today's society with everything changing. Like I said, the future is in great hands. So I want to thank everyone who joined us today. I want to say keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep creating, because the sky's the limit, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And all our panelists, just hang on for a minute. We're about to wrap things up. But everybody, have a great rest of your evening.
Good night, everybody.